To another episode of 68 Shining Moments presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Today, we have A.J. Guyton and Quinn Buckner talking about Indiana's run to that 1976 undefeated season.
What was the mold that made you guys gel together as when you recruits coming in? What was it that made you guys so tight-knit, so competitive, and so with a will to win, man? Like, what was that coming together like at that time?
Coach Knight, man.
Coach Knight.
I come from a background where my coach Ferguson in high school was really good about fundamentals and really how basketball works.
You're right.
How it works. And so by the time I got to Coach Knight, there was skill and some other things, and really the toughness piece because of how hard you compete in practice, how many times you had to do it over to make sure that not only you got it right, but all the other people on the floor got it right.
Right.
And that, luck is when hard work meets opportunity. And he made us work hard. And, when you think about it, games were easy.
Right, yeah.
Because you worked so hard in practice. That's really what that's his whole philosophy. So it was the repetitiveness of people want to say practice make perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect.
Right, yeah.
Difference.
Right, yeah.
You're paying attention to the detail and you get it right. So when you get in tight games, they're not tight. They're just, here's a scenario, here's what we do. So it's now you playing, if guys start thinking about what they're doing, they're not very effective.
Right, yeah.
But if you're playing and you've done this repetitively, it's almost an instinct. You see this, you do this, you do this, and so it's very linear, and that's Coach Knight. And I said this on something I did for him just a short while ago. People will say he was maniacal. I don't know. You can make that argument. I choose not to.
Right.
But he was maniacal in his preparation.
Right.
And he stayed on you, us, them about doing it the right way.
Right.
And that's a legacy that we honestly don't have anymore. And I'm not blaming any coach or any official or anyone.
Yep.
But he said this, and I'll never forget it, AJ. We were seniors, and he told the sitting audience and the people looking, he said, take a look at this group. You'll never see another one like it in your lifetime. And I didn't know what that meant.
Right. Yeah.
At 20 plus years old. I got a better idea about it now, but I also know what it takes to do those kind of things. And I try to bring that to anything that I'm dealing with in terms of the preparation, because if you're not prepared for an opportunity, it can get there and you ramping up.
Right.
You got to be prepared. So when it's there, you're going. And that's what he wanted us to be doing.
Before we continue that interview, I have to let you guys know that it's that time of year again. We waited 2 years for this moment, and it's finally here. March's biggest tournament is back. Gonzaga is getting ready to run the table. Slippers are being fit as we speak. And our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook, are putting our listeners at the center of the action. How? If you bet $4 on an underdog in a select game this week, and that underdog wins, you win $256. That's right, $256. Here's how it works. Download the app now and use the promo code FIELD68 when you sign up. Scroll through the list of select underdogs, bet $4 on them to win, and cash $256 when they do. There's no better way for you to put your college hoops knowledge to use than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable, and you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So remember, the code is FIELD68. That's FIELD68 to turn $4 into $256. For a limited time only, must be 21 years or older. Restrictions apply. Go to DraftKings.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Man, your 76 team is widely regarded as the greatest ever, but the fans view you almost as superhuman. So what I want to do is I'm going to name 4 names, and I want you to tell the fans and tell me what that particular person brought to the basketball team of 76. So I'll start with Scott May.
Smart, tough. Most don't know Scott was an All-American tight end in high school.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Right. Most people don't know that. So when you get to tough situations, and that was the other thing about us. We were men. I'm a football player. I'm really a football player that played basketball.
Yeah.
My gift, honestly, was football.
Football, right.
But he was tough, smart, could shoot it. Knew his limitations. Wasn't a great defender, but he was a decent rebounder and above average passer. But he was tough-minded and highly competitive.
Right. Bobby Wilkerson.
The best athlete on the team, and it wasn't even close. 6'7", rangy. And I'll give you a story about Bobby Wilkerson. Scott and I were talking about this just 2 weeks ago. We were in front of McNutt doing, how you sit out in front of McNutt. For people who haven't been there, they don't know. But, it's just like it's an area where you can sit in lawn chairs or whatever. And literally, Bobby Wilkerson and a guy named Mike McFarland, I believe is his name, got into this discussion about who was fast. Bobby's 6'7". Mike McFarland was the indoor 60, they called it at that time, yard champion, indoor. And Bobby said, I could beat you. Now, Bobby used to run distances all the time. He's rangy. They ran, and Bobby ran into a dead heat in gym shoes.
Wow.
At 6'7" versus a guy that was about 5'9". That when I'm talking about an athlete, Bobby Wilkerson. The other thing from a basketball standpoint, as we started to lose control of the story I was telling you about Alabama, where Leon Douglas got away from us and started to do something, and he was quick enough to put it on the floor, Bobby guarded it.
Right.
And Bobby and I were guards. And Bobby would guard the best guard on the team to turn me loose because I was one that I knew how the game worked, knew where the ball probably was going. So it turned me loose to do that. So he'd got a guard in that game, and he did it in Alabama. I think T.R. Dunn was one of the guys. He guarded him. Then he guarded Leon Douglas. That's who Bobby Wilkerson is.
Wow.
He's very quiet, but he was very impactful on our team.
I remember Coach Knight telling us he was the best athlete he coached. Absolutely. Kent Benson.
Benny was an interesting guy. He had a lot of pressure on him coming from Indiana and Newcastle, where you have Chrysler, I think it's Chrysler Center Arena, and just a lot of expectations. And he came in, and like you might expect it with Indiana basketball, everybody was expecting him to be the star. Well, he was coming in on a team that just wasn't happening that way. Scott there, Bobby there. And we had to help him understand how things were done because he was so much bigger and so much better skilled than kids. High school was easy. Like for a lot of us, you have to make that adjustment. And he struggled with it. But once he got it, Kit was strong. And he was one of the guys, first time I'd seen centers consistently. I'm not first.
Right.
As a center. Steve Downing could shoot this shot. And most don't know. Steve Downing was on the team when I was a freshman and had played with George McGinnis. But then Benny could step out and make the shot up to the foul line. But he was big and strong, and he had a little bit of a mean streak in him.
Right.
He didn't mind hitting you with an elbow coming across with a swing hook. So now that's how you cover the middle was with Benson. And and he was, he was as impactful as in a lot of ways Scott, maybe to a lesser degree. Well, sure, Scott. But you had to have somebody to man the middle because it was a much more low post game, if you will, at that time.
Yeah, that's
and Benny could do that because he had a hook that you couldn't guard because he was big and he didn't mind dropping that elbow in your face or your chest, depending on where you were.
Yeah, okay. What about last one is Abernathy?
Aber was a fundamentally sound player who was behind Scott, my senior year. Behind Scott may have been our best shooter.
Right.
It may have been Scott, Abernathy, and then Kent. Was a very good passer, understood how the game worked. I mean, really knew, the guy, reading defense, all of the stuff we used to hear, read the defense. But Aber read it well. Could deliver whatever pass needed to be delivered. If he had to spin it a little bit to give it to come back to you, if he couldn't give you a straight line pass, he didn't do that very often because if it didn't get there, he knows Coach Knight is going to get it. Excuse me. But AJ, what I think people need to know, I played on one of the smartest teams that I could imagine. All of my teammates were extremely bright.
Right.
Jim Cruz was a big part of what we did, and he was bright. Wisman, got the late Wayne Radford.
Radford, yep.
They were really smart, and that makes a big difference when you get into big games because those X's and O's that were sitting on that board, they move it. Now somebody's got to make a split decision,
right.
and hopefully the repetition gets them to understand what you're trying to get accomplished. My teammates and I were able to do that, but I say all the time, people talk about me leading them, and I said, well, I don't know about that, but I know I played with probably one of the smartest groups to ever play basketball because you don't win championships without being smart.
Absolutely. Y'all blazed through the tournament with the struggle game against Alabama and a revenge game against UCLA. But as soon as y'all get in the championship game, Bobby Wilkerson goes down with the concussion, right? What as a leader, how did you bring those guys back together? Because the game was close all the way. You were down 6.5. So you was obviously dealing with that still, trying to adjust to the game without Bobby. But what did you say to the guys to bring them back together?
Let's go play.
Yep.
Don't complicate. Let's go play.
Mm-hmm.
And coach was extremely. His leadership was at the forefront of this. He didn't come in yelling and screaming about it because we had beaten Michigan twice before, and I think he knew. And the pressure of the game, he wasn't trying to put that kind of pressure on. So we just played. And that's what was so much fun about our team. The only time Coach Knight would really yell at us, we were playing teams that weren't very good.
Yeah.
No offense to Northwestern. If Billy McKinney was on there, who's a friend of mine, who could really score. But if you're playing teams that you should beat, that's when he would drill us.
Right.
Because he knew he didn't have to drill us on the other one. He was trying to, because when you fight a lot of time, and it's human nature. So he knew coming in at the championship game, I don't come in yelling. Okay, what do we have to do?
Yeah, right.
We came in and did it. The difference was all of a sudden Wayne Radford and Jim Cruz take a bigger role.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to adjust the team a little bit. Radford's a little bit more of a scorer. Jim and I started as freshmen. Jim Cruz was slow of foot, great understanding of how to play and can make shots. So it's not like so I've got to guard somebody a little bit more basketball oriented than I had previously because Bobby's not there. So those adjustments you just do. We're not going to be a victim here. We're going to make it happen. And like Scott, the thing to that point, we got there after playing UCLA our senior year. And we played them at the beginning of the year and got them. We beat them. But the coach had asked us the summer of our junior year, did we want to play them? Both Scott and I, he didn't get it out of his mouth, but we said, yeah, because UCLA was
right.
And we beat them in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And prior to the UCLA game, before we played Michigan, Richard Washington, a great player, said that was an exhibition game. And not a one of us said a word.
Right.
So when we played them again for the semifinals, we busted them again. That's how competitive that team was. It didn't take kindly to a guy saying, okay, you got beaten. Now all of a sudden you want to say it's an exhibition game? Real now, what you got? We don't say that, but that's what we're thinking.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the competitiveness of our team.
Right. You guys won the game, y'all. You and Benson, you may and Benson ended up being too much for him, man. You hugged Coach Knight after that. I know that's one of the iconic embraces in national championship history, man. I've never seen a team so excited. You see guys now, they like, they hold the trophy. It's cool. They ready to go talk about themselves. You can see that was an iconic moment, man. And you have a very, very unique relationship with Coach Knight. How were you able to crack the Coach Knight code, earn his trust, and have that kind of relationship with him?
Well, that's kind of two questions. First of all, I don't know if I cracked the code. I just did what I was supposed to do. I did it at a high level. But I think one of the things, you can appreciate this. When you're in high school, you do what you do.
Right.
You do your thing, you're getting off, whatever. And you know that the accolades that came, these are the labels other people put on me. I didn't put on me.
Right.
And he said this to me, and sometime in the last 5 or 10 years, he said, I appreciate you letting me coach you. Because if you can imagine, and I didn't think about it, AJ. Given the accolades, the labels, the fact that I'd won football, basketball, I could go anywhere in the country. So you're talking about somebody that can do some things. I didn't think about it like that. I know there's a lot of things I can't do, and I'm trying to figure those out. That's how I work. And he said, you allowed me to coach you. And for that, I really appreciate it. And I think in that was an acknowledgement of William and Jessica Buckner. I'm not going to kid you. And that is something that will forever stick with me, forever and a day, because I never thought about it as I was letting him coach you. There's no question. You're the coach, so I'm going to let you coach me. But it would have been easy for this human being, given the athletic accolades and all that comes with that, to not let him coach you. And I get it. I didn't get it.